Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just give a couple of minutes for everybody to join us. Welcome to the open day this evening. Really excited to have lots of you here. Just hold on for another 30 seconds or so before we kick off, just to make sure that everyone can get in on time. If you want to get a cup of tea, might not be quite enough time for a cup of tea, but a glass of water or maybe a big stretch or similar, probably enough time for that, just while we wait a couple more minutes for the rest of you to join. Nice. Welcome, welcome, welcome for those of you just joining now. Lovely to see so many of you here on a Thursday evening. Kane, you're drinking bubble tea. You know, I don't think I've ever had that. But
oh, you should.
Maybe.
I think you should.
You think I should try it?
Yeah, it's really nice. If you live in London, you can literally go to Chinatown to grab a bubble tea. It's nice.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen queues of people outside bubble tea places in Leicester Square. It's on my to-do list. Right, I've got homework from this session already and it's not even started. Well, anyway, I think it's probably a good time to kick things off. Any latecomers, this session is being recorded so we can catch up. Hi everybody, my name is Patrick and I head up admissions and placement here at Boolean. Welcome to our open day. Today we're going to run through a little bit more details about the course itself and yeah, basically any questions that you might have, we hope to answer with our presentation or in the Q&A at the end. So a big welcome again. On the staff side of things, I'm joined by Edward. If you want to say a quick 2 words.
Hello, everyone.
That was a very quick 2 words. Ed, our head of teaching, will be talking a bit more about the course. And Kate, if you want to say hi too.
Hi, everyone. Some of you I've met before, some of you not.
Nice, nice. Kate is on the admissions team and yeah, exactly. If you've not met Kate yet, you will meet her when you apply. She does the admissions interviews and manages the whole admissions funnel for us. So you will get to know Kate very well. And there's me in the middle. What we're going to talk about today, a quick run through who we are. We're then going to dive straight into the course and kind of give you more details about how it works, how you're going to go on this journey from zero to developer with us. We're going to talk about the career services, which is a really big part of what we offer here at Boolean. We're then going to talk about how much the course costs. We're going to talk about how you can apply if we've done enough to convince you that you want to join us. We're going to do a quick comparison with some of the other options for learning to code, and then questions. There is a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. You'll be able to see questions. You'll also be able to upvote questions. So if there's one that you really want to know the answer to, instead of asking it again, just give it a thumbs up and we'll know to prioritize at the end. Kate, you're going to say? Oh, no, your hand's up. Never mind. I thought you were going to jump in for some reason.
I think we're just waving my hands around, sorry.
It's all good. This session is going to go on until 7 o'clock. So yeah, we've got about an hour if I stop talking. Oh yeah, but first, who are we? So we are Boolean and we are an international tech academy, and exactly what we said at the start, the aim here is to help people start new careers as software developers. So we do that with a 6-month course, full-time focused on teaching you how to code, followed by 6 more months of career support. We're made up of lots of people. We're more than 70 now that work across Italy and the UK, which are our 2 main hubs across Boolean. And that is obviously teachers, tutors, coordinators, careers team, admissions team, and many other staff that make up Boolean. A few quick numbers about us. We've enrolled to date over 1,700 students across those 2 locations. Majority of those in Italy, where we've been running for over 4 years now. as I keep saying, we operate in 2 countries. Our other base is in Milan, and our base in the UK is in London. And the average salary that we're seeing so far for Boolean grads coming out in the UK is £29,000. So that gives you a little bit of a taste of what you'll be going into when you finish the course. And feel very lucky to be joined by 3 more people on the call today, who are all current students and alumni. And I was really excited to talk to you, the 3 of you, to kind of hear a little bit more about your experiences and generally to kind of share what it's been like for you going through the course. Always best to hear these things directly from people who are going or have been through it. I'm actually going to reverse the order with this, and I'm going to start with Lin. So Lin, you were on our first cohort, which finished at the end of September, and you've now started working at a new company, having finished the course. So maybe do you want to just start by telling us a little bit around you and your background, and introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, my name is Lin. I think I got 2 degrees. One is mechanical engineering in my bachelor's, and I also got a master's degree in energy engineering with industrial management. But after I graduated, I didn't go with the mechanical engineering industry. Instead, I chose to be a network design engineer at Huawei Technologies as a contractor. However, during the years I was working there, I feel like I need some passion to make myself keep drive, and also be a little bit more passionate about. And then luckily, I actually discovered this course and recommended by my friends. And then she said, oh, this Boolean course seems very nice. And I tried and I watched it, and it seems the content was really good. Although at this time, I know nothing about it. But after I joined the Boolean Bootcamp, I realized, oh, it's pretty good content. And then after 6 months study, it was quite intense as it's described. But as long as you go through all the stage, it actually helps you to build your self-confidence and everything. And then later on, soon after, I think after roughly about 1 or 2 months, I found my first job. And that's not the first job I got. Eventually, I got 3 job offers from Accenture, Barclays, and Ocado. And I still doing the decisions whether I should join the rest company or not. But right now, I definitely work for, but right now I already started work for Accenture, and I feel really happy about it. And I was really happy about the entire experience I had.
Amazing. Maybe just one thing to pull out would be, if you did the whole 6 months with us. What was your kind of favorite part of the course? Which bit did you enjoy the most?
Oh, there are too many things I have to consider. I can't decide which one was favorite, but I'm gonna list 2. The first one is this Boolean course definitely give you lots of confidence to let you to build from no coding experience at all, like me, to somebody who has enough confidence to start your job and do a job hunting. And I think the teacher here not just encourage you to study, but also encourage you to do research on your own and kind of help you to develop a mindset that you can do it, you can do this entire the 6 months process. And second part I really like is the pair programming, because the Boolean cohort I had experience was really supportive. All my classmates were really friendly. They all helped me, or we can try to help each other to debugging the sessions. And I really enjoyed this 2 experience. So I really couldn't decide which one is my favorite.
Nice, awesome. And in terms of your job at the moment, how are you finding it? What's it like going from a bootcamp into a full-time role as a software developer?
Because right now my company is still offering us 3 months training, so I wouldn't say that too much differences right now, but I think it would depend once I finish my project. So I still couldn't explain too much about it.
Cool, makes sense. And maybe just to finish then, I'd like to ask you, for the next person down, Bravin, who is in month 3 or 4 now and is not far away from finishing the course, what advice do you have for Bravin for the rest of his journey?
I would say always be confident, and always bear this in mind that lots of people would support you. You are not the only one who actually doing the course or find a job. And especially I have to mention Patrick is really helpful while doing my job hunting, because I thought I was did okay in the bootcamp. And then when I was looking for jobs, I was really struggling and I always feel depressed. But Patrick definitely helped me and encouraged me to keep looking for jobs. And so I just feel really happy about this. So definitely bear this in mind that always somebody gonna be there to help you and support you. So never ever be able to never ever just be shy to ask for help.
Lovely advice. It's sometimes hard, isn't it, to reach out, but when you do, you realize there's lots of people out there that are willing to help. Lyndon, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that nicely segues us on to Bravin. So Bravin, exactly as we said, you're in, I'm not 100% sure if it's month 3 or month 4, but maybe you can tell us, where are you up to in the course at the moment?
This will be month 4.
Nice.
Yeah, month 4 now.
And what are you working on at the moment?
I've just started the backend part of the course. So it's making servers or making APIs and making databases to feed our front-end websites. So yeah, we're just at the beginning of that. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Nice, nice. How are you finding the back end versus the front end? Are you starting to see differences, similarities, things that you like about one?
I think it's probably too early to say. Like I'm excited about sort of bringing the front end part of the course, sort of making it more complete, I suppose. Because at the moment, it feels unfinished. And yeah, just being able to bring it together and having it as a self-contained app that I can just either port to a mobile app or just have as a standalone desktop app. Yeah, it's just sort of making that initial idea as into a complete product, if you like.
Yeah, definitely. That kind of those full stack projects that you'll get to in your final month. I guess it's quite exciting to link all of that together. Maybe you can tell us a little bit around what you did before Boolean and why you chose to join us.
Okay. So I studied chemical engineering at uni and worked as a chemical engineer for about 3 years or so, just over. And then I left it. I found it kind of repetitive and I lost my passion for it. So I went traveling for about 6 months or so. And then came back and took over my parents' business. That was a small shop. So I think when lockdown started, had a ton of time on my hands and just started building stuff.
Cool.
Bought a 3D printer, bought Raspberry Pi, just started playing around with them. And I always had the same issue over and over again, where I built something and it was maybe 90% of the way towards being something that I liked, something that I could call my own. And it was just 1 or 2 things that I was like, I wish this worked differently, or I wish I could have done something to make this better or more suited to my needs. And so that's what sort of nudged me towards coding. And so I started off and I struggled to structure my the way I learned. And so then I started looking into courses and I did the free week on Boolean. So that was my first taste of it. And I really liked it. I liked the way it was structured and also how quickly you go from 0, which was where I was at, to having a static web page at the end of week 1. And that's just week 1. And so that's when I decided, okay, I want to sign up. I want to have more of this. And yeah, it just went from there.
Amazing. And maybe to kind of round off this conversation as well, I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Lyndon, but this time talking to Marianne, who is on cohort 4 and started a couple of months after you. So again, it's just that 1 step behind. What advice are you going to give Marianne and similar people on her cohort?
I think the one piece of advice I give everyone, like whether it's on my cohort or some of the guys I've spoken to on cohort 4, don't be afraid to just jump in and try something. Worst case scenario, it goes wrong, but you can always sort of Control Z your way out of that. And you'll have learned something, even if it's what not to do. But if it works, it's just the most amazing feeling when you've just tried something just on a whim and it's just, oh, it's worked. So yeah, that would be my advice. Just don't be afraid to jump in and try something.
Absolutely. Really, really great advice, and definitely the mind of a programmer. I think, try things, break things, work out how things work. Absolutely, that will get you very far. Thank you, Baron. That was really, really nice to hear from you too. And moves us nicely on to Marianne. Marianne, you started with us in November on our 4th cohort, and will be at what point at the moment are you on the course?
We're just doing some object-oriented programming and still kind of like on vanilla JavaScript, but we're about to go into the DOM.
Cool. And maybe you can tell us a bit about your background and what you did before you joined Boolean.
Before I joined Boolean, I did a maths degree and then kind of went around the world a little bit, and then I decided I should probably get a job. So I became a maths teacher for quite a few years, decided that I didn't really like that, didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then my friend, who is a software engineer, said, I think you'd really like coding. You really like problem solving and puzzles. So I had a little look into it and thought, this is 100% for me. Awesome.
And in terms of, you chose to come to Boolean. You've been here for a couple of months. How has it been versus your expectations, your actual experience of the course? So what's been different?
I don't think all that much. I think it's maybe like more intense than but in a good way. I think I thought, more intense and but really, really fun, even more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Nice. And what's been your highlight so far of the things? I guess you've done HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Has there been one thing that stood out for you?
There's been a couple of projects that I've really liked doing. I really enjoyed. We did this Twitter clone, just creating a page which looks exactly like Twitter with HTML and CSS, and I just can't believe it. I sort of learned a little bit before, but then over the course of like 2 or 3 weeks, I learned so much and was able to create something which really looked exactly like a Twitter page. And I was so surprised by how much progression I had on this course, especially compared to when I was teaching myself before, where I tried to create something else and it looked rubbish in comparison.
One of those things you can go and show to all your friends and family. It's I think that's a nice thing with coding. When you make something cool, you can go and show it off to everybody. Lovely.
Take a picture and send it to lots of my friends saying, look what I made.
Check me out. Very nice. I would be doing the same. I think just to wrap up, from your side of things, what advice would you give to people who are maybe thinking about joining Boolean? What advice would you give to them?
Make sure that you know you want to do it, because it's going to take up all of your day and sometimes your evenings, but you'll kind of want to do it. So that's fine. And maybe like have a little look into JavaScript beforehand, because that's where it gets really interesting. Nice.
2 really great pieces of advice, and I think very, very, very good to hear, and very useful for everyone here to have that. Marianne, Bravin, Lyndon, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. We'll crack on with the rest of the presentation, and if you're still around at the end, I'm sure there might be some questions directed for you as well, if you're still around then. But thank you, everybody. Let's crack on. I think this is actually the point where I get to hand over to Ed, and you get to stop hearing my voice. Ed, do you want to take it away?
Hi. Let me find where you're sharing the screen. There we are. What does a software developer do? Folks, I think the other 3 have left, but it was really lovely to hear from some current students and students who are job hunting or in their jobs. It's sometimes an important thing to do, which is to hear from people who are just a step ahead in your journey, because it can be hard to visualize or know that while you're at the beginning of this journey, there are people who've gone through or will go through the things that you're about to, and coming out the other side. It can feel like such a mountain to climb sometimes. These people are doing it or have done it, So it's a nice opportunity to connect with those students. So what does a software developer do? At the crux of it, they solve problems. So one of the things that I think would be a good thing for you to think about is, do you enjoy solving problems? If so, this would be a fantastic career for you to get into. There's lots of different ways software developers solve problems. But we solve problems that are given to us from users or other clients who say, we need something built, we need to solve this problem. We have this gap in the market because we see X, Y, Z, and we need to build something. So we solve problems at that level. We solve problems on a very small level, which is like a bug in a code. We need to solve that. And so there's all kinds of problems. Essentially, software development is just a series of problems from end to end until you finish your career. That's sometimes how you can look at it. If that really motivates you and you enjoy that, fantastic, come to Boolean. I love solving problems. I'm one of those people who gets up in the morning, does a Sudoku, does a Wordle, does a few other things to get my brain ticking over, and a coffee, and we start there. Cool. So the journey from zero to developer. Let's do it. Yes. How will you do it? Course here is 6 months. We definitely recommend you go through the fundamentals camp that we have, a free week of our course for you to have a look at. Do you enjoy it? If so, this is a great place to study. And I think, as Marianne suggested, if you've already dipped your toe in looking at some free resources for JavaScript as our main programming language, that's also a good thing to do. But otherwise, we don't expect you to have any other prior knowledge. Just simply a curiosity, a desire to solve problems, and a willingness to learn. I think the learning skills there are super important. We really pride ourselves on an approach which is quite holistic. You'll do a lot of learning by doing. So sometimes you'll have to be thrown in the deep end to do something without necessarily understanding how, and then we understand the how as we do. We do a lot of thinking about our learning, not just the learning. The best way to program, the best way to learn how to program is to program. So we have to do lots and lots of hours and hours. I think we bill ourselves as 800 plus hours over the six months. There's a lot of time to do programming because that's the only way. And there's no shortcuts to learning. You just have to do it. Which is why one of the reasons we decided to do a 6-month course is because it will output you at a good, competent level by the time you finish this course. One-to-one support. We have an afternoon team of teachers who are there to help you, unblock you, and help you understand what you need to do. And so you'll always be able to call on a bank of teachers when you need it. We'll always try and help you escalate your problem correctly. So rather than always running straight to a teacher, is trying to think about your problem, trying to help you get through a better problem-solving process. But we're always here to help. And I think that's quite important for a learning environment, for it to be a safe educational space where you're free to ask questions. Questions are your most important tool to get information. From each other, from the cohort, from teachers, from online resources, from our curriculum and things like that. But I think it's important to mention again that one-to-one support is available and it is an important part of our curriculum. Patrick can talk to you a lot about our career services, and I'm sure he'll come back to that, and the money back guarantee. But such is the quality of the education experience that you'll get here that we're quite confident that you'll get a job in 6 months, otherwise you get your money back. What are the things you'll learn? This is a super high-level view of the curriculum here at Boolean, and I'm sure there's lots of terms and things that you might not have heard before if you're new to this world. But suffice to say, we start off on the things that you see in your browser, using HTML and CSS, using those interfaces, designing how those happen, and then building them. And then we think about a programming language called JavaScript to get you thinking about how we write code, how do we develop software using JavaScript. We think about different approaches to this. So it's quite a fundamental module that's why we do it at the beginning of the course, to get you thinking about some of the best practices and thinking about modularity. Code should be easy to change and easy to read, and we start thinking about those ideas right at the very beginning of the course. We build on that, those two modules, to thinking about a JavaScript framework called React that helps us build both front-end websites, both the interfaces and then the behavior behind them. And then we segue into looking at servers and APIs. So I think remember Brabham from cohort 3 was talking about he's just started this new module on building APIs. So this is the kind of stuff that sometimes you hear about written in articles, or your friends talk about APIs and endpoints and things like that. By the end of this module, you'll be able to understand all about it and write them and build them yourself, and then show them off to your friends. So that's really the point, right? And then we go into module 5, which is actually quite a key part of the experience here. One of the designing goals of the course is to help you get ready for employment, to meet the needs of industry stakeholders, the companies that we partner with to hire you, to say that you are ready for the job. In order to know what you're ready for the job is to do as close as possible to the things we'll be doing on the job. So we have a team development module, which is essentially trying to simulate a typical development team. How do you take requirements all the way to release software in a pipeline of continual deployment? So we'll be working on a whole team on a code base, on very typically like you'd be doing on the job. And then we finish the course thinking about some quite interview specific things, and an individual sort of capstone project to wrap up your course experience here, really showing off your quality and quality of code and the way that you design things. And so in a nutshell is the six modules. Yeah, let's go on. Sorry, Patrick, for confusing you. Let's not worry about the module structure. The module structure, in essence, is you do a bunch of work and then you have a project at the end of it to show that you've been able to do it. So there's lots of learning, lots of practice, and a lot of ability to showcase that practice by doing things. Cool. Next. A typical day. I think this slide is meant to be showing us a typical day where we get all the students in a cohort together in the morning at 9:30, quick stand up, making sure that we reflect on the past day. Then we launch into whatever topic we're doing in the morning. So typically a teacher will start to workshop a certain skill, review some code from the prior day together, and go through it, or maybe it's self-directed work and we review later in the morning when everyone has had a chance to get to grips with whatever new content that we're doing. But it's all live. We all work together. Sometimes we pair up. Sometimes we go into small groups in the morning, and in the afternoon we catch up at about 2:30. In small groups we have a group that we call peer groups. It's basically small study groups, so we again reflect on the morning, set intentions for the afternoon, and we work on individual exercises to again showcase the skills that we've learned so far. Sometimes those individual exercises will last a couple of days, not just one afternoon, sometimes a couple, for you to sort of like build on gradually. Sometimes you'll also pair in the afternoon, not just individual exercises, but you'll be marked together. Cool. This is a very short example. I think this is exactly what actually Marianne was talking about, how she really enjoyed this particular challenge. This is again a demonstration throughout the HTML and CSS module that we have right at the beginning, which is showcase all the work, all the skills that you've done so far in this challenge. And so we asked all the students to recreate kind of Twitter. So this is after the first 3 to 4 weeks. This is something that you'll be able to do. Static, there's no behavior behind it. You click on things, nothing actually happens. It's just laying out position content on a grid and having some scrolling behavior and sort of like highlight behaviors, but there's nothing actually happening behind the scenes. It's just static. Cool. Let's move on. This slide here is to help give you an indication of some of the tools and software that behind the scenes happens. Essentially, we're tracking your progress, which is important for in an educational institution, so we can understand where you were, where you are, and where you need to be. We have a tool. It's called Montessori. For some of you educational folks who understand the connection there. But we track all your exercises and challenges in this tool. Cool. Patrick, I think this is now over to you.
It is indeed. A little segue there back to the career services. Thank you, Ed, for talking us through the course. The hard work doesn't stop when the course finishes. This is not meant to be a doom and gloom slide. This is instead just meant to say, we recognize that job hunting is hard. We recognize that what you're here for is to start a career in tech. And so that's why we care so much. And that's why we put so much effort into also providing you with 6 months of career support so that you are you have the tools and the help to succeed in finding a job. So our careers advisors are the main point of contact that you'll have during the course. And these are people who will be, by your side whilst you're job hunting, and they'll also kind of be supporting you on things, the small things like, time management, like what should I do in my day? What's the best thing to focus on? As well as the bigger things like I've got an interview coming up. Can we do a mock interview together? Your careers advisor will be kind of your go-to for all of that stuff and everything in between. I don't know if I just skipped a slide there. No, I didn't. So some of the things that we do can be kind of nicely bucketed into, on the one hand, there's this idea of personal branding. So CV is the most obvious one, but also things like your GitHub, your LinkedIn, having a portfolio of your projects, having a profile up on with our partners, Hired, all this kind of stuff. This is ways that you're kind of the first thing that people will see when they're thinking about hiring you. So how do you put yourself forward in the best way? Interview training, as we said, once you've passed that first hurdle and got that interview, now it's time to kind of really focus on getting prepared, feeling ready, getting a plan in place. And our careers advisors, again, are there to help you plan, to help you prep, and also to help you practice mock interviews. And then also generally supporting you to find roles, so signposting roles that come up, sending things your way, linking you with employers that we're speaking to, giving you advice if you have a role and you're like, I've come across these people, do you know anything about them? Drop a message to your careers advisor. More often than not, they do, and they can give you a little bit of advice. And of course, as part of that is our hiring platform, which we add all of our students to, and is a free tool that companies can sign up for and can browse and interview people off the back of that. Indeed, the slide in a little more detail. That's a little bit of what it looks like on the left there, and employers can kind of come through and click on your LinkedIn, your GitHub, and your CV and choose to interview you. Cool. That's the careers section in a nutshell. There's the money back guarantee that ties into that, but it also kind of ties into the financing side of things. So let's talk a little bit about financing for the moment. So essentially, we have 3 options to pay for the course. So the first option is to pay simply upfront. This is where you kind of get it all out of the way in one go. And there's a discounted amount for paying upfront, which is £9,400. That is covered by the money back guarantee as well. The other option for paying now, if you like, is to split your payments over 9 months with a deposit followed by 8 monthly payments. That installment plan costs £9,900, and again, that's covered by the money back guarantee. And finally, our kind of brand new, launched in January 2022 this year, is our future earnings agreement. We're really excited about this. We think it's a really great opportunity to open access to education to a lot of people that maybe wouldn't be able to afford the fees up front. And essentially, it's all about kind of loading all of the costs once you've got a job. So you pay a small deposit to secure a place in the course, and then you don't pay anything during the course. You don't pay anything until you find a job at the end of the course, and then only when you're earning over a salary of £23,000. And from that point, you make repayments of 15% of your monthly income until you reach the maximum cap. There's a little bit more detail on another slide about this, but kind of the main thing to say as well is it's an interest-free loan as well. So this isn't one of those that just kind of ever increases in number as time goes on. This is fairly steady, and the most that you'd ever pay would be the 12,400 there. So in fact, here we are in a little bit more detail on that future earnings agreement. So as we said, it is a £900 deposit. You then go through the course, you find a job, and you start your repayments when you earn over £23,000. As we said, our Boolean grads are getting, on average £29,000. So you'll be high and dry and well clear of that, as most of our Boolean grads are. And from that point, you're going to pay 15% of your salary for 40 months or until you reach the maximum cap. Now, the maximum cap is 11,500. So whichever one comes first, either you reach the maximum cap or you reach 40 repayments, whichever of those comes first. As I said, it's interest-free. This is a really big difference between a student loan that a lot of you might know from university, which, you know, every year that goes by, you seem to pay off, you know, a few thousand, and it goes up by a few thousand, and the amount never seems to decrease. That's not the case here. This is interest-free. And the nice thing as well is if you stop earning, if at any point you stop your job, you lose your job for any reason, your repayments simply pause, and there's no pressure to kind of pay those back until you're back earning over £23,000 again. We do have some requirements for this, as it's a financial product regulated by a third party that we work with called StepX, who are approved by the FCA. And the requirements for this are that you do have the right to work in the UK, and we also are asking for 1 year residency in the UK, so that you've been a resident here for at least 1 year. I imagine there'll be some questions on this. Please feel free to drop them in the Q&A, and we'll come to those at the end. And the money back guarantee, I mentioned this applies to both of those pay upfront options. So to pay in one lump sum or to pay in installments, both of these are covered by the money back guarantee. And essentially, as Ed said, this is us putting our money where our mouth is. It's saying that we're very confident in the quality of our teaching, in the quality of our career support, and also in the quality of our admissions process of selecting the right people for the course. That if you don't find a job within 6 months of finishing, we'll give you a full refund of the course fees that you paid. There's some eligibility criteria for this, but it's nothing crazy. It's fairly simple. Did you come to classes? Did you do the work? Did you have the right to work in the UK? And we also asked that you took an active role in trying to find a job. So we say 5 jobs a week, and that you kind of you were engaged with your careers advisor. You were kind of filling in the forms that we're sending, all that kind of stuff. We'll go into a bit more detail on that if you get to your admissions interview, and also in the contract that we send out to students. But in a nutshell, it's fairly simple. If you put in the hard work, you should find a job. And if you didn't find a job, you put in the hard work, we'll give you your money back, in a nutshell. And finally, just to kind of recap what the price includes. So it is 800 hours of learning over 6 months, followed by 6 months of career coaching. There's one-to-one support with the tutors during those 800 hours. The recordings of the lessons are going to always be available for your, the whole of that 12 months that you're with us. You can access the lecture slides and every other materials as well on demand. You'll put your profile on our hiring platform. You'll always be a member of our Boolean community, our alumni community on Discord. We have had industry talks from experts. We've had the likes of Google and Facebook in to come and talk to our students. There's a money back guarantee, of course, that we mentioned, and then we have a certificate of attendance that you get at the end, which is a beautiful PDF document that you can stick on your LinkedIn and share around with, print off and share around with your family and friends. Great. I'm going to stop talking for a minute and let Kate take over here and talk us through the application process.
Hello. Great. So yes, how do you apply? Great, so you start by completing our short questionnaire. Here you can tell us about why you're looking to join Boolean. There'll also be some practical questions around criteria for starting the course as well, which are important to go through. You'll be then directed to book a 30-minute video interview with either myself or Patrick. You'll then be asked to do a short logic test. It's nothing scary, but I would really recommend sort of taking your time with it, getting a pen and paper, sitting down to complete it. Don't rush it. After you've passed the logic test, you'll come to your interview. Here we'll sort of talk through your motivations, your goals, and what your passions are. We'll get to know each other, and we'll work out together whether Boolean is the right fit for you and you're the right fit for us. The next stage is we decide whether we're going to offer you a place on the course, and you'll get an offer from myself. And then hopefully we'll be welcoming you aboard and you'll be starting your new career. I think that's it.
Amazing.
Yep, most importantly, yes, the next start date is the 7th of February. So it'd be really good if you are hoping to start with us on that date to get your applications in as soon as possible, because Monday is our cut-off point. So if you could get your applications in before then, that would be great.
Lovely. Thank you, Kate. I think we said at the start we're just going to do a quick comparison versus some of the other options for learning to code. So I'll just walk you through this table, which you can also find on our homepage. But essentially, the other kind of main options, I guess the third option here is self-taught, but that's a slightly different option to, you know, committing to a course, I suppose, which is what Boolean is. The other options would be other boot camps or indeed university course like computer science. So what do we think? We think in terms of length of time, we've tried to find a nice middle ground between, you know, the 3+ years, you don't have to put your life on hold like you do for university, but also 12 weeks doesn't feel like you really get enough time to properly get started or to properly cement ideas or to properly practice. So 6 months feels like a nice middle ground where it's a commitment, it's a time commitment, but it's a manageable commitment, and it allows you to go so much further than a short course. Pricing wise, if you're paying up front, you're going to benefit from a reduced rate, which is 9,400. Other boot camps we've seen going up to sort of 11,000, and of course university we all know is highly expensive at the moment in the UK, sort of 9.5 grand fees plus maintenance loan. It takes it to some pretty crazy numbers, especially if you a lot of computer science courses are 4 years, so that's an extra sort of 10 grand on top of that. We have the future earnings agreement, the pay later option, which we're really proud of. This is something that's fairly innovative, and we've not seen many other people offering this. The one-to-one careers coaching as well that we mentioned. Boot camps in general do this well. That's the kind of the whole model is, you know, get you trained up and then get you a job. But universities, I don't think I ever remember being reached out to by the university career services. It's kind of non-existent when I was there. The one-to-one tutor support is something that we're really proud of as well. We're proud to say that we offer that, and we don't see the same level of support in other institutions. We like to find this sort of middle ground between highly practical skills that you get at boot camps and you don't really get at uni, but also a chance to dive into some of the more kind of theoretical topics too, algorithms, data structures, that kind of thing, which you do get loads of at university, but tend to miss at boot camps because of the short time they have to miss some stuff out. So we like to think we've got a middle ground there. And for that reason, we'd like to say the level when you finish of the level that you're at is kind of more like an advanced junior rather than a beginner junior. You know, you've had a chance to really kind of go through a little bit more detail, build up a few more skills, but more importantly, you know, really cement the behavior and the mindset of a coder. So that's our little comparison table. And I'm just going to leave this screen up if anyone's quick enough to get their phone out for the QR codes. If not, don't worry, we'll be sharing this recording afterwards. And all of this stuff is on our website anyway. But you've got the FAQs for any other questions that you have. We've got the full course curriculum available to download on our course page. There's a syllabus banner about halfway down. And of course, if you're thinking that you want to apply, then there's the QR code on the right, or you can head to the website boolean.co.uk/apply. Cool. Let's put it over to Q&A. I can see that we've got a few in the chat. I'll start with the ones in the chat first, maybe, if there's anything in there. Okay, no, that's everyone's just saying hello. Fine. Q&A. Let's have a little look then. I'm going to sort it by the most upvotes so that we can see which ones have had the most interest. Okay, first up, what have we got here? Rahman is asking, what is the average salary for a junior dev in the UK? Can we find a job in other countries as well? The average salary for junior dev in the UK is very dependent on whereabouts you're based. 29,000 that a Boolean grad gets feels about average. If you're in London, it's slightly higher. It's probably more like 32. And if you're outside of London, it's usually a bit lower, probably more like 26, 27. Does that sound about right, Ed?
Yep. I've seen ranges anywhere from like 20 for super entry level positions, 20k, to starting salaries of 35 if you're in London for pretty great junior devs. So I think that's the right range that you said. And
the second part of your question, can we find jobs in other countries as well? As part of the FEA, we'd be looking for people who are looking to work in the UK. If you're paying up front, then feel free to find a job wherever suits you. We can support you in the UK, and the money back applies to people who are looking for jobs in the UK as well. So that's something to note there.
I've also, this is probably not going to be relevant to a few, but I've also seen students who are career changers who've got a lot of prior experience actually get quite a high salary, a starting salary in the 40s, sometimes 40K, because they bring with them a whole host of other really great and employable skills. Whether it's sort of retraining within the company or finding a really great position otherwise. So, I think the reason I mention this is because a lot of you might already have successful careers, but are switching careers, and you bring with you some really hireable, employable skills.
Awesome. The next one, yeah, we've got one here. When is the next course available? I think you're typing the answer to that there, Kate, aren't you? No, type away, that's all good. I'll move on to this one then. Is it possible to do the course living in Europe, not in the UK? Yes, it is possible to do the course living in Europe. The main question is around time zones, of course. You know, the course is 9:30 till 6. If you're quite far outside of those time zones, then it's going to get difficult for you to follow along for the 6 months. And the other question, of course, is around eligibility with the money back guarantee and also with the FEA. So with the future earnings agreement, I should say. So double check those when you get to your admissions interview. But yeah, typically it's fine to follow the course from that side of things. You just might not be eligible for either of those. Cool. Alex, you're asking me if it is 15% net or gross. It is 15% of your gross salary, gross monthly salary. Nice. Cool. What about this one from Sean? How common is it today for software devs to work from home rather than being office-based? I wonder if Lin maybe, as someone who is working right now as a software developer, what are you doing? Are you working from home or are you working remote?
Yeah, I work from home, and you can choose. And also on the offer I received, like from what I heard, it was from Barclays, they only allow you to work in the office for like 2 days in a week. And as for Ocado, they allow you to work home, I think full time, I think. So right now I work remotely for 3 months at least.
Nice. Yeah, and just to add on that, what we are seeing definitely with the people who are finding jobs with Boolean is after they finish Boolean is the vast majority, well, everybody, no one is in the office full time. Quite a lot of people work fully remote, and most people have some sort of a hybrid arrangement for that. Nice. We've got some other good questions here. This is from Nikita. Let's say I start the course and 2 to 3 months down the line, I start falling behind. I realize I'm not built for it and I have to drop out. Do I still have to pay the full price for the course, or do I get a refund? I'd like to hear Ed talk about what we do to support students that struggle. But maybe just to answer the direct question, if you still have to pay the full price for the course, or do you get a refund? Typically, the contract that you sign is, you know, for the full amount of the course, but in most cases we're happy to be lenient on this and to pay like a pro rata thing for what you've paid already, and what's left to pay, you don't have to pay. But Ed, maybe to talk a little bit about the support we give to people if they're falling behind.
Yeah, it's a really great question and a really important one to sort of think about and ask of any place that you want to learn at. Is like how do they handle different kinds of learners and learner progress. At Boolean, it's the approach that we take is one where we try to make sure that every student has all the skills and all the tools needed to succeed. Now, programming and learning to program, everyone goes through this at their own pace and their own journey. So struggling and feeling like you're struggling is very normal. There's lots and lots of very new things that are sequential over the 6 months. And so sometimes students feel like it's almost like a wave that crests and then keeps going every new topic that they experience. They start off every new topic feeling quite overwhelmed because it's new, and then they slowly start to get a hang of it. And by the time they get the hang of it, we change the topic and we do something new again. So it almost feels like this repetitive sort of like roller coaster or wave-like cadence to the course. So struggling or feeling like you're struggling is always part of learning. Learning is never easy. So part of it is just trying to manage that expectation when you're on the course is to know that that's normal. And we do a lot of reflection, we do a lot of talking with each other in small groups, individuals, in pairs, or even the whole cohort, to make sure that we're talking about these things. Because sometimes it's very easy, especially in a remote environment, to feel like you're the only one experiencing these feelings. And that is also known in the industry, and quite common in the tech industry, is known as imposter syndrome. That we're not good, we're not cut out for this, and everyone else is much better than we are. So only by sort of talking and sharing our own progress and sort of understanding it can we help combat this. Now, more specifically, some of the structures that we use here is, as we mentioned, we keep track of everyone's progress. So you'll be submitting exercises, and we'll be able to get in contact with you and sort of give you feedback and understand how you're approaching these things, to sort of understand what you need to do to improve. And so that will, when we say one-to-one support, this will be one of the ways that we do this. We'll reach with you to understand how do we help you reach those objectives. So one-to-one support is a really common one, and for students who need it, we add more structure to their learning. So we have a version of an individual learning plan that we roll out for students who like it, who want it, and that essentially says, let's meet every couple of days, let's set you some targets and help you get there. So a little bit more structure around the learning process, because learning as a skill is something that some of you might not remember how to do very well, because you haven't been in learning or in education for a while. So trying to remember how to learn in an environment like this as an adult can be difficult, can be challenging, especially when there's so many new things in a new area. So we spend a lot of time thinking about learning in the first half of the course, and we have a few structures in place to help you there. To get there. So long as you're progressing, so long as you're moving forward, we're here to help support you.
Nice. Awesome. We've got a good one here from Fideas. What if you want to try and see if you like programming? Can you do a short course before the 6-month course? Kate, I think we might know the answer to this one. If there's a short course that people can do to try a taster of programming before the full-time course.
Yes, actually, this is something I did mean to mention during the application process. So now part of our application process is that you need to complete our fundamentals camp, which is our 3-week course before starting at Boolean. So yes, please go onto our website, sign up for our week course. It's around 11 hours. It's on demand, so you can do it when you need to. And yeah, that's what we would recommend to do before starting. And if you do pass the application process, it is something that you'll need to complete before starting the course.
Absolutely. And as I'm sure some of our current students here will can attest to, there's tons of free resources as well online that are great to try to see if you like it. Fundamentals Camp is fantastic to see Boolean specifically, but also if you're keen to more generally open, the scope to different languages as well. There's tons of free resources to see if coding's for you.
There's a question here I'd like to answer from Kane.
Yeah.
I think, Kane, you've actually given a couple of great questions here. And the question here, let me read out, is, do you think Boolean graduates are looked down on in comparison to university taught within the industry? So this is a question that's like, how does the industry see employees or junior talent, depending on where they came from, what source they come from? And the ones that have been pointed out, traditionally you come from either a self-taught background or a computer science degree. And over the past 10 years, you've seen a very big increase in the number of students who come from a short course like Boolean or other boot camps. Now, we differentiate ourselves. We're not quite a boot camp because we're 6 months, it's half a year. It's not quite a boot camp when it's that long. But we stand by that because we think over 6 months, your outcomes will be on average much higher than one who only spent 12 weeks. And think about the need in the market, or the gap in the market that boot camps were originally filling, which is the mismatch between university courses not creating skilled employees for industry. There was a skill mismatch. It was much more too academic, and they didn't have actual programming skills. And so people who are self-taught or started to be trained at boot camps filled this need, which is why it's been increasing since. Have that in your brain is part of the answer to the question, which is bootcamps are filling a market need for highly skilled junior talent in software engineering, but there's also a bias from people who are in hiring positions. This has been changing over the past 10 years as bootcamp grads are becoming much more prevalent and a much more high percentage of companies onboarding for junior software engineers, and those positions are changing, the hiring positions, but there used to be a bias, and there still kind of is, depending on which companies or who's there. When they look on people from different backgrounds, sometimes they bring their own biases from their own education, and they don't see it as a good way into the career. Those days are fast receding. And the companies that we work with are all very excited to hire from, especially from Boolean, but also from companies that are really focused on making sure that we meet industry needs. So we align our curriculum with the National Framework for Digital Skills, the Digital Data and Technology Skills Framework, for thinking about what are the required skills and responsibilities for junior software engineers. So it's a good bet to say that the skills that you come up with this course are fit for industry, compared to a university course, which has to go through an accreditation process, is slow to change, and are usually using old languages like Java, because that's the language that's been most popular for the past few decades. So again, this is a long-winded question, because I find this a really interesting question to talk about as part of your own decision-making process, to sort of understand what choice is in front of you to make in terms of where you're going to go for your studying. And my position, or my perspective, is always find something that's aligned to industry. If that's what your goal is, to get employed, you should be finding something that will help you get employable skills. And that's what we're focused on.
Nice. Yeah, a really interesting topic for sure. And I think one thing also to pull out is, the government has put, I think, 500 million pounds into a fund to set up more of these digital skills boot camps, they're calling them. So they're understanding, and they're putting their money where their mouth is to back that this kind of model of education fits really well for certain industries, and tech definitely one of them. I'm very conscious of the time, and I've noticed we've had quite a few questions to do with sort of, do you focus on mobile app? Is there scope to learn other programming languages, etc.?
Maybe I could wrap those up with an answer, Patrick.
Yeah, that would be great.
So we don't do any mobile app development on the course. Now, that being said, one of the ways that we've designed the curriculum here at Boolean is for it to be, one of the values for the curriculum is to be essentially language agnostic. So it shouldn't really matter what language you do on the course to set you up for a career in software engineering. Whether you want to focus on website design, whether you want to focus on database administration stuff, whatever you want to focus on in your career, you should be able to take this course to set you up for success later. Now, that does mean if you take this course and you really still want to go into mobile app development, absolutely, you'll have a really great foundation, but it will mean that you still need to spend some time learning a mobile programming language technology like Swift or any of the other Android ones. I think that's important as a decision. There's some scope at the end of the course when we go into the final projects for you to design your own challenge. That might be something that you're like, yes, I really want to use Kotlin as a new programming language, and be like, I want to do my 2-3 week project in a new language, and that's the kind of challenge I want. Or it might be you want to use JavaScript and go really deep into some interesting facets of the language, or what other technical challenge that you're interested in. I think it's good to be clear. We do JavaScript here at Boolean because we think it's a really great accessible language for you to learn. It's beginner friendly, but also can be used in a variety of styles, and will help set you up for success for a large number of jobs. We also are language agnostic, so we try and keep the sort of quirks of JavaScript to minimum, and we use it as a basis to think about how do other programming languages work? How do other language styles work? And use JavaScript as a medium for this. I think it's important because we want to focus on the skills and processes of software development, not just JavaScript or React, to help you think about and make connections between different things for your careers. Will there be scope? I think there's another question here from Stuart. Will there be scope to learn other programming languages? Yes, but to a very limited extent. I think it's important to be clear. And this will come towards the end of the project. Now, side projects, absolutely feel free. I think it's always great to have like a little like learning side project that you want, as much as you like.
Nice. I think I'm conscious we're just like a couple of minutes over, but there's one more here that I think maybe just to wrap up with, which is to do with if you are taking the course to be self-employed and not find a full-time job after, can you still take the pay later option? So it's a really great question. We haven't got any requirements specifically around this. In terms of whether you go into contract work or full-time work after the course. What I would say is what from experience we see, it's quite rare. I say very rare, quite rare for students to go straight from a course like Boolean to going straight into kind of contract or freelance work. More typically, you'll spend a couple of years kind of cutting your teeth with a company and then move into contract work, or indeed working as a contractor for a company. But still working kind of full time within IR35 is definitely the more typical route. You don't tend to see people go into contract work straight after the course, but good question. I think that's probably it for today. There's some really great questions here. If we didn't get to answer yours, please shoot us an email, hello@boolean.co.uk. Or feel free to ask at your admissions interview when you book your admissions interview. We'd love to go through all of these with you. And I think there's not much more to say other than a huge thank you to everyone who came along today for taking the time out of your evening to listen to us. A huge thank you to Lynn, Bravin and Marianne for joining us. I really appreciate you making the time to share your experiences with some potential new students. Thank you, Kate and Ed, as always, for your useful walk through the course. And finally, if you're keen to apply, if you're ready to make the switch into tech, we'd love to see you on the course. Our next one starts February the 7th, and you can apply at the link at the bottom of the screen. Hopefully see some of you at interview next week.
Do you mind if I take 1 minute to answer one question, Patrick? But if everyone else wants to go, they can go.
Okay. Sure, do it.
Awesome. Kane, you asked if I could answer this question in the chat, so I just wanted to have a go at it. The question is, what steps have you made for people with learning difficulties? Have they been considered when creating the course, etc.? And this is a really great question. And the answer is yes and no. We're at a prototype version of the course that we are making adjustments as we go for people who are experiencing the course. That being said, we are aware of a lot of learning styles and learning difficulties, and we are using essentially quite a learning plan based approach. So whenever we have students who need it, we sit down with them, we discuss what adjustments do they need, and we try and use that information to build it back into the course. So we're in a very much a really interesting point in the design of the curriculum, and that we're pulling in information as we go through it, because our cohort sizes for 1, 2, and 3 have been quite usefully small, and we're using their information to help design the course. So the answer is yes and no. I want to make this course as accessible and useful and open to as many people as possible. But I imagine a year's time from now, it will be better than it is right now. So that is to say, if you have a set of learning needs, let me know. We can discuss it. I'll be quite frank about what we can and what we can't support, and hope to see you immediately in a cohort or later when we're able to support it. But my mission is to make it as accessible as possible.
Hear, hear. Absolutely. All about inclusivity and making sure there's no barriers to entry here. Great answer, great question, and a lovely note to end on, I think. So thanks again, everybody. I did a great goodbye as well, damn it.
I know you did. Sorry, Patrick, take 2.
But I'll just leave it at thank you very much, and I hope to see lots of you soon. Enjoy your evening, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.